I encourage all of you to think about what are the ways that you can find a social enterprise or a business that will work on integrating all three economic, environmental, and social values. And don't settle for doing a business that just works on one. Work on all of them. I think it is fair to say I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm a serial entrepreneur who only wants to work in the area of enterprises that create sustainable value. And I have been interested in that for over 25 years, since I joined an organization in the United States called the World Business Academy, which had a very different perspective about how we can create value by adding values in business. When I finished my environmental degree, I wanted to really make a difference from an environmental perspective. And I wanted to start a business that had a big environmental impact. And so I read this report once that said the 4 areas in our lives where we have the biggest impact are how we eat, our food choices, how we travel, where we live, the kinds of buildings we live in, and how we earn and use our incomes. And so I made it my goal to do a business in each one of those categories to make a difference. And the first one was in the food sector, was this organic food delivery service. I actually wanted it to just be a demonstration project. That's why I called it Small Potatoes Urban Delivery. And I thought it was campy, it's spud. And it was just, I was going to just do that. Well, it literally took over my life. It was such a challenging business model. I was shunning all my friends and I was rationing my bathroom breaks just to get this little company to survive. But it did survive and it grew. And 12 years later, we are the largest organic food delivery service in the world with 50 trucks and locations all the way from Vancouver down to Los Angeles. And really working on a triple bottom line value, creating financial value by allowing people to save the time and money of not having to go to the grocery store. The social value, to use that time to do their favorite things in life. Who thinks that grocery shopping is their favorite thing? When you don't have to do that hour and a half of grocery shopping each week, you're freed up to do your favorite thing. Let your imaginations go wild. And because we wanted to buy as locally as possible, we helped have an environmental benefit. So the second one was how we travel. And I helped start up and became a shareholder in an electric bike company. And I believe that this also had a triple bottom line impact. The electric bike is not a substitute for the bike. If you're a biker, stay as a biker. The electric bike is a substitute for the car. And it's the best way to travel a distance of less than 30 minutes in a car. You can actually get there faster on an electric bike and save the cost of parking and the fuel costs, so it has an economic value. It has a social value because you're actually getting modest walking level exercise riding an electric bike or a pedal assist, which is the kind that we sold. And you're also having an environmental benefit because, of course, you're eliminating all these fossil fuels. The next one was how we live. So I became the CEO of a building energy retrofit company. Well, that's obvious that it saves energy and therefore environmental impacts. It also creates healthier buildings in the way that we did the energy retrofits. And it also saves people energy costs, so it has an economic benefit. And the fourth one is a business I'm still trying to find out about, and I don't have that identified, but I have the space. And the space or the sector is the sharing economy. What is the sharing economy? Well, the sharing economy is traditional activities like bartering and renting and trading and swapping combined with new internet technologies and social media tools to allow people to collaborate and share things. The old examples are things like libraries and the potluck dinner. Newer examples where you meet each other and help to collaboratively avoid waste by taking something that someone doesn't need and buying it from them are Craigslist and eBay. But the very newest ones that are just emerging are ones that focus on changing our whole values and mindset about not owning things, but just accessing them when we need them, and sharing with strangers instead of friends and family. So let's go through 5 different types to give you the idea. So the first one is space sharing, renting your own personal place, or renting or giving away your own couch, such as couchsurfing.com, or exchanging your home with someone. These are all examples of sharing space. The second one, which you probably have heard about, car sharing, Zipcar and Car2Go. But what you may not have heard about yet is renting your own personal car on sites like Relay Rides and Getaround, which are currently illegal in Canada, but are operating now in the States, and we are working on ICBC to change that. The third one is someone offering a task to someone who needs a task filled, whether it's walking a dog, doing the groceries, could be a programming task, and putting those up on collaborative sites like TaskRabbit or our local version, Speedy Gopher. But also more specialized ones, like being a chef in your own home, saying, I'm going to put up that I will give you a 4-course meal for $25. Come to my house, and I will be a restaurant in my own home on Gobble, or I'll be a tour guide in my own city on Vayable. There are so many of these that are emerging. The fourth one, personal goods sharing. Maybe you've heard of the Vancouver Tool Library, or the website Rent My Items, where you can rent them instead of just borrow them. ThredUp, for parents with growing children. Their kids grow out of their clothes, they put them in a file box. They send them to ThredUp. For $15 plus the cost of shipping, they send back a file box with an equal number of clothes, 3 sizes bigger. Or Rent the Runway, for professional women who get tired of their fashion and rent their clothes out and rent other ones back to refresh their wardrobe without having to refresh their bank account. And the biggest of all, crowdfunding. You probably heard of Kickstarter, which has now had almost $900 million of donation pledges, or Indiegogo, which was used as the example before my talk, or Kiva, where you give a donation to someone in a low-income country, or crowd investing, or crowd lending, which are also growing hugely. So how does that add into this whole thing about value? Well, it creates value on all 3 levels of economic, environmental, and social. On the economic side, it creates extra supplemental income, not a full income, but an extra and important income for people. On the buyer side, it typically reduces costs, so it creates financial value. On the environmental side, of course, we're not having to buy new stuff because we're sharing it so much more effectively. And so that helps. And also, because we're not buying as much new stuff, we're throwing away less stuff. And people are more liable to repair something that is more heavily used. So that's a huge benefit. From a social side, it really builds community, because often for every exchange, you have to trade items, or you have to meet to exchange the keys when you rent someone's place, or come to visit them and stay with them on Couchsurfing. And so that builds community. And of course, it creates this whole network of work flexibility that you can do this kind of sharing activity in and amongst all the other things you're doing, and create some extra income. So a huge benefit. And it really relates to a big shift in values. Values from the old economy to the new economy. from competition to collaboration, from control to empowerment, proprietary copyright to an open system, and one where the institutions or corporations are in control to one that's much more human. And it also relates to a very important shift in power. Now you're not just a passive consumer. You are now a creator. You're a producer. You're even a financier on a crowdfunding platform. What a huge difference, and what a huge additional value. So I encourage all of you to think about what are the ways that you can find a social enterprise or a business that will work on integrating all three economic, environmental, and social values. And don't settle for doing a business that just works on one. Work on all of them. I know you'll be happier, you'll be making a bigger difference, and you'll be helping to change the world. So thanks very much.